Unfortunately, at one point in time, it was rather common for WWE superstars to die young. This was because the nature of the wrestling industry took an immense toll on their body, and the majority of them had no choice but to resort to pain medicine to continue their careers. Luckily, this trend has somewhat stopped. This is mainly because of the WWE introducing a wellness policy shortly after the passing of Eddie Guerrero. This wellness policy involves regular testing for WWE superstars to ensure that they are fit and healthy. But additionally, sometimes a superstar can pass away at a young age and it can have nothing to do with drugs. Some superstars have tragically died young due to road accidents, medical complications, and even just trying to do their job as a WWE performer. Join us now as Wrestlelamia looks at 10 of the youngest WWE wrestlers who've passed away. Number 10. Umaga at 36. Umaga was mostly known for his time in the WWE during the Ruthless Aggression era. He would have acclaimed feuds with the likes of John Cena and Jeff Hardy, and would even be part of the Battle of the Billionaire Showdown at WrestleMania 23. Sadly, in 2009, Umaga would be released from his WWE contract, and just a few months later, he would pass away at the age of only 36. His passing was a result of multiple heart attacks, and a medical examiner revealed that Umaga had both heart and liver disease. Umaga also had an established history of drug use, which unfortunately contributed to his premature passing. Number 9. Brian Pillman, age 35. The loose cannon Brian Pillman is one of the most well-known wrestlers of all time. Pillman would make a name for himself with the loose cannon gimmick, a gimmick that paved the way for several unpredictable and unhinged wrestling characters that would come into the years that followed. His passing at just age 35 was incredibly tragic, as Pillman was in the prime of his career and still had a lot to offer in the wrestling industry. On October 5, 1997, Pillman was scheduled to wrestle Dude Love at In Your House Bad Blood. Hours before the show, Jim Cornette was given the task of finding out why Pillman had no-showed the pay-per-view, and when he called the hotel which Pillman was staying at the night prior, they revealed that Pillman was found dead earlier in the day.
Approximately 5 o'clock Central Time, we here in the World Wrestling Federation were notified that Brian Pillman has passed away.
His official cause of passing would be a heart attack, and it was believed that the heart attack was caused by an undetected heart disease, a condition that unfortunately also ended Pillman's father. Number 8. Owen Hart at age 34. Owen Hart's passing in 1999 was one of the most tragic events in WWE history. Owen was one of the most talented and decorated pro wrestlers of all time, and without a doubt would have had a main event run in the company or even become WWE champion. Owen would pass away after a stunt went horribly wrong at 1999's Over the Edge pay-per-view. At the time, Owen was portraying the Blue Blazer character and was supposed to descend down to the ring, similar to how Sting did in WCW. Unfortunately, Owen would fall 78 feet, landing chest first onto the top rope. He would be quickly transported to a hospital where several attempts to revive him were made, but unfortunately it was too late and Owen passed away due to the injuries, which is the official cause of his passing. Number 7. Yokozuna, age 34. Yokozuna was one of the WWE's top stars in the early 90s. He would attain great success in the company and would win the WWE title on 2 occasions. He would win the 1993 Royal Rumble, and he would main event 2 different WrestleMania events. Sadly, in October 2000, Yokozuna sadly passed away from a pulmonary edema while staying at a hotel in Liverpool, England. The former champion would pass away at just 34 years old. Number 6. Test at age 33. Test at one point in time was considered to be one of the WWE's brightest young prospects. Debuting in '98, Test would be prominently featured on WWE television as part of Vince McMahon's corporation stable. In the summer of '99, he would begin his most notable storyline ever and begin an on-screen romance with the billionaire's daughter Stephanie McMahon. The plan was for this to launch Test into the main event scene. However, once Triple H became involved in the storyline, the spotlight on Test quickly faded. Following Stephanie's storyline, Test would spend the majority of his career in the mid-card and failed to ascend to the main event scene. Test sadly had a lot of issues with prescription drugs, and in 2009, just a few days before his 34th birthday, he passed away with an accidental overdose. Number 5. Adrian Adonis, age 34. Adorable Adrian Adonis was one of the brightest young stars during the mid-80s. He was mostly well known for his hair versus hair encounter with Roddy Piper at WrestleMania 3, but he was also a one-time tag team champion with Dick Murdoch. Unfortunately, a tragic car accident in 1988 would kill Adonis and 3 other men, meaning that Adonis would pass away at just 34 years old whilst in the prime of his life. Number 4. Kerry Von Erich, age 33. Kerry Von Erich was a part of the legendary Von Erich family, one of the most well-known and established families in wrestling history. Kerry attained great success in whatever promotion he went, and his WWE run involved him having the gimmick of the Texas Tornado, winning the Intercontinental Championship and becoming a solid talent in WWE's mid-card. In 1986, Kerry suffered a serious motorcycle accident, and the accident resulted in Kerry having his right foot amputated. But following his amputation, he would become heavily addicted to painkillers and eventually take his own life by a use of a firearm on his 33rd birthday. Number 3. Chris Candido at age 33. Chris Candido was one of the brightest young stars in wrestling and would gain popularity during his run as world champion in Smoky Mountain Wrestling. And following that, Candido would have a memorable run in ECW where he would win the ECW tag titles on multiple occasions. In 1994, he would win the NWA World title at age 21, making him the youngest NWA champion of all time. And most WWE fans know Candido for his WWE tag team with Zip as the Body Donners and would win the tag team titles. Unfortunately, in 2005, he sadly suffered an ankle injury as well as fracturing his fibula and tibia at TNA's Lockdown pay-per-view. Due to complications with the surgery, Candido would sadly pass away at just 33 years of age. It was believed that Candido passed away due to a blood clot. However, in 2016, the young brother of Candido revealed that he passed away from acute pneumonia. Number 2. Crash Holly, age 32. Crash Holly will always be remembered for his downright hilarious antics in the hardcore division during the WWE's Attitude Era. He was one of the most popular stars during this time period and would win the hardcore title 22 times during his career. But following the Attitude Era, WWE failed to find anything substantial for him, and he would be sadly released from WWE in 2003. In November of that same year, Crash would sadly pass away at the age of 32. Now, at the time, WWE sadly went through a period of distancing themselves from any ex-WWE superstar that passed away from a drug-related death. This meant that Crash's passing wasn't mentioned on television at all. But nevertheless, the memories that Crash gave wrestling fans will last forever. And number 1. Lance Cade at age 29. Most WWE fans know Lance Cade for his time in the tag team with Trevor Murdoch. The duo were prominent during the Ruthless Aggression era and would win the tag team titles on multiple occasions. In 2008, they clearly saw that there was a lot of potential in Cade, so they decided to pair him alongside Chris Jericho on his ongoing feud with Shawn Michaels. This was the biggest spotlight that Cade would receive during his WWE career, and unfortunately, he would be released from the WWE that same year after he had a seizure on a plane. The seizure sadly related to pill abuse, and this would ultimately be the reason for Cade passing away at just the youngest age of 29 years old.